All right, so get this, Bitcoin inscriptions. We're talking about potentially a whole digital library of Alexandria, but like on the blockchain.
It's really something, huh? All this
Hmm.
stuff about freedom of information, and it all goes back to those cypherpunk ideals.
Yeah, and when you say cypherpunk, I kind of still picture, I don't know, like Neo from The Matrix.
Well, there's definitely a cool factor
For
there,
sure.
but it's deeper than that. Like, the heart of the cypherpunk movement, it's always been about using cryptography as a way to give power to the individual, against these big institutions that try to control everything.
Makes sense.
It's all about taking back control.
And this isn't even new, is it? I was reading that article you shared about that Spartan cipher thing, the Cytale. Like, wow, people have been into secret messages for a long time.
It's a human instinct, right? Wanting to share information securely. And Bitcoin, it's like the ultimate expression of that. Satoshi Nakamoto, they took that cypherpunk dream and made it real, a decentralized system that no one can control. That's powerful.
So we've got digital cash, that's Bitcoin as we know it. But inscriptions, this feels different, like a whole other level.
It is, because now we're going beyond just value. We're talking about storing knowledge, history, culture, all in this tamper-proof way. It's huge.
So break it down for me. How do these inscriptions actually work? I'm a little fuzzy on the specifics.
Imagine you're taking a piece of digital content, anything really, a photo, a song, even software code, and you're embedding it directly onto the Bitcoin blockchain. That's an inscription. And because the blockchain can't be altered, it's like setting that information in stone. It's there forever, accessible to anyone.
So instead of like, just sending Bitcoin, we're carving something right into the foundation. That's kind of wild when you think about it. But it's not the same as an NFT, is it? I feel like there's got to be a difference there.
You're right, there is. NFTs, they usually depend on all these other platforms,
Yeah.
right? And their value, it's all kind of, I don't know, it can be subjective.
Yeah, for sure. Like what one person thinks is cool, somebody else is like, nah, that's worthless.
Exactly. But with inscriptions, they're embedded directly on that Bitcoin blockchain. So they have that same level of security, that permanence. Nobody can just come in and mess with them.
Okay, that's interesting. But like, I've been seeing some people online, they're not too happy about this whole inscription thing. Seems like there's a debate brewing, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, think about it. Bitcoin, it started as this idea for digital cash, right? A way to break free from the system.
Right, freedom, all that good stuff.
And now, suddenly, we're using this incredibly secure network for all kinds of things. It's a big change, and not everyone's comfortable with it.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like if your favorite band suddenly switched genres, some fans would be stoked, but others would be like, what happened to the music I loved?
Uh-huh. That's a great analogy. And look, there are valid arguments on both sides. Some people worry that inscriptions will clutter up the blockchain,
Yeah.
make it less efficient. Others see it as the natural next step, a way to build this unstoppable library of information.
That reminds me of that story about the Tank Man image, the one from Tiananmen Square. They inscribed that on the blockchain, right?
They did. And it's a perfect example of the power of this technology. That image, it represents defiance, a refusal to be silenced. And now, it's preserved forever, beyond the reach of censors. Anyone with an internet connection can see it.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like a shield against forgetting? But then there's that other side of it. You mentioned those 3D printed gun designs getting inscribed too.
Right, and that's where things get really tricky. Because that permanence, that resistance to censorship, it's a double-edged sword. It makes you ask, what are the limits? What should be preserved, even if it's controversial or potentially dangerous?
Yeah, you can't just wish those questions away. It's like we're facing all the same dilemmas we have in the real world, but now they're playing out in this new digital space. So how do we even begin to navigate this? If anyone can inscribe anything, how do we make sure this technology doesn't become like a free-for-all with potentially harmful consequences?
That's the million-dollar question. It's one we all need to be grappling with. Because unlike a physical library where there's a curator deciding what goes in and what stays out, the blockchain, it's open. It's a reflection of the internet itself, for better or for worse.
It's a lot to get your head around, that's for sure. Like, we're talking about this amazing new way to share knowledge, but we've also got to be careful, make sure it doesn't backfire.
Absolutely. Every new technology, it comes with its own set of challenges.
Mm.
But it's not like this is the first time we've had to deal with this, right? I mean, think about the printing press. It totally changed the game for spreading information.
No, for sure, like Gutenberg and all that, but it wasn't all good, was it?
Right. It gave us Shakespeare, but it also made it easier to spread propaganda and misinformation. It's a two-edged sword.
Man, some things never change, huh? But okay, so if Bitcoin inscriptions are going to be this, like you said, this digital library of Alexandria, how do we keep it from becoming just a big old mess?
That's where that whole cypherpunk philosophy comes in. It's not just about the tools, right? It's about how we use them.
It's like they say, with great power comes.
Great responsibility,
Yes.
exactly. We've got
Good.
to be mindful about what we're putting out there,
Yeah.
and we can't just blindly trust everything we see inscribed either.
So it's like a two-way street. We've got a responsibility both when we're putting information out there and when we're taking it in.
Exactly. It's about being thoughtful, being discerning. This technology, it's powerful, but it's just a tool. We're the ones who decide what to do with it.
Man, that's some deep stuff. So it's not enough to just be passive observers anymore. We've got to be active participants in shaping this digital world we're building.
That's it. And honestly, if there's one thing I hope our listeners take away from this deep dive, it's that. Bitcoin inscriptions, they offer us this amazing opportunity, but we've got to be conscious of how we use it. The future, it's not something that just happens to us, it's something we create.
And on that note, big thanks to you. Always a mind-expanding conversation. And to everyone listening, keep those cypherpunk ideals in mind, stay curious, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.